Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Chapman. Right now, we are following two breaking news stories tonight, one in Utah County, the other in southern Utah on this Independence Day. Let's start with what's happening in Provo at Stadium of Fire. We just received this video. I want you to take a good look here as that flyover was happening over LaVell Edwards Stadium. You can see fireworks went off in those empty bleacher area. But as the fireworks come down, you see them bounce down the bleachers and into the crowd. Now, the Jonas Brothers are playing there tonight, as is the massive firework display. Everything was completely stopped after those fireworks shot into the ground. We are told by witnesses at least several people are injured. The video you're seeing now is police and paramedics canvassing and going into the crowd where help is needed. Again, witnesses say several people have been injured. Here's that video again. You see the flyover. You'll notice the fireworks go off at the end stadium bleachers there, and they'll bounce down into the field area of the crowd where people are sitting. People at the show tell Fox 13 News it was those firefighters that came into the crowd immediately when there was a problem, when those fireworks went rogue. At this point, we're told the show stopped temporarily. I'm just getting word now that the Jonas Brothers have once again taken to the stage and the concert is going on. At least one person was taken away on a stretcher. We do have a Fox 13 News crew on the way to Stadium of Fire, taking place right now at LaVell Edwards Stadium on the BYU campus. We will bring you the very latest information as we receive it. Also developing right now in Washington County, a very tense situation. The Hurricane Police Department is asking everyone in the area of 290 North and 3560 West to shelter in place because of an armed suspect in the area. Police say it was reported a male was armed and in the street in front of his home. That man was then located and found to be armed with a rifle and a handgun. Witnesses on scene said that they heard at least one shot. That man has since barricaded himself inside his own home. Hurricane Police sent out a reverse 911 call around 4:30 this afternoon, telling everyone to shelter in place. Then just a short time ago, about 33 minutes ago at 9 p.m., police sent out this message to residents in the area. Take a listen.
To unsubscribe, the Hurricane City Police Department is asking that citizens refrain from using fireworks for the next 4 hours as they work to resolve the high-priority incident. Press 1 to confirm receipt.
So again, this is happening in the area of 290 North and 3560 West in Hurricane. Everyone in that area is asked to shelter in place. Furthermore, we did receive a press release into the Fox 13 newsroom. Police also asking people in that area, while they stay inside, to not shoot off any fireworks or make any loud noises from their backyard or their patio. A tense situation, as police are calling it. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest throughout the newscast. Well, it is a holiday, one that's turned into a very busy night, and Fox 13 News has brought you some really happy celebrations of the 4th of July all day long, and it continues as we get closer to fireworks shows across the state tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold joins us live at the Gateway in downtown Salt Lake City. Chris, how is it going there?
Well, Kelly, I can tell you that the plaza here at the Gateway has been absolutely packed the entire time we've been here over the course of the last few hours. Now, this event, this free 4th of July celebration, brought in about 20,000 people last year, and officials with the Gateway I spoke with tonight are hoping that it will bring even more people in for this year's fun and festivities. Now, this celebration here giving families and people of all ages a variety of things to enjoy, whether it was yard games, cooling off on the splash pad, dancing, or even the two stages that were playing live music throughout the night, and even here in just the past couple of minutes. Those who turned out didn't have to look too far to find some fun. Gateway General Manager Brian Hill says this event has been going on for the last 8 years.
I think just to bring families together, one of the things that Gateway is great at is hosting community events, just to bring people together and obviously to celebrate our independence.
Well, definitely plenty of Utahns coming out to this event tonight, but I also caught up with one couple that came out here from Orlando, Florida.
Probably my favorite holiday out of the year. Friends and family get together to celebrate one of the most important, if not the most important day in our country's history, gaining independence. So it's just a great way to celebrate.
Well, the finale of the festivities here tonight will, of course, be the fireworks, what everyone is looking forward to out here. We got to look at what will be lighting up the sky here tonight, including fireworks that will be hand lit and set off electronically. Now, the fireworks are set to get going here behind me on the west side of the gateway at 10 o'clock. The show is expected to last for about 10 minutes. For now, live here in downtown Salt Lake, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chris, thanks so much. Looks like a big crowd there at the gateway, Chris, and really nice conditions to watch fireworks.
Yeah, the temperatures are really nice, especially here in northern Utah. We have temperatures mid to upper 70s, lower 80s, and we're going to hold on to those pretty mild temperatures. So if you're going to shoot off the fireworks, say 10 o'clock, once that sun sets a little bit more, we should be in the upper 70s at that point, gradually falling into the 60s by tomorrow morning. So a very comfortable evening here, a little bit warmer in St. George. Probably want some Gatorade or water as you're sitting outside with some of those warm temperatures. Again, temperatures mid to upper 90s right now, gradually falling into the low 90s by 10 and 11. So those temperatures stay pretty mild, eventually falling below 80 by early tomorrow morning. Right now in Salt Lake, we're still holding on to 81 degrees. The wind is calm now. That's good news. So if you're shooting off the fireworks, hopefully the winds don't pick up and blow some of those sparks downwind. But right now the winds have really calmed down. Earlier they were gusting between 20 to 25 miles per hour. Still holding on to the breezy conditions in St. George. Northeast wind at 21 miles per hour, gusting up to 29 miles per hour. So make sure you're cautious, especially with that humidity down at 5%. But 99 degrees at this hour in St. George. Still pretty hot down there. Temperatures are pretty warm for southern Utah, a little bit more comfortable as you work your way north. I am tracking some record heat on the way. I'll have details coming up later in the show. Kelly?
Chris, thanks so much. There is a new wildfire tonight burning in Carbon County. It's called the Horse Canyon Fire. It's burning between 20 and 30 acres just east of East Carbon. There are no current threats, but there is an old coal mine in that area. Authorities say this fire was human caused. In national news, a person is dead after a shooting involving law enforcement overnight in Yellowstone National Park. According to the National Park Service, rangers responded to a report of a person with a firearm who was making threats in the Canyon Village area within the central part of the park. When rangers made contact with the person, there was an exchange of gunfire between the person and law enforcement rangers, which led to the death of the suspect. One Yellowstone law enforcement park ranger was also injured. We're told the ranger remains in stable condition at a nearby hospital tonight. The FBI is leading the ongoing investigation. Salt Lake City police are investigating a shooting that sent 2 men to the hospital this morning. It happened during the 5 a.m. hour at 385 West, 1700 South. The 2 victims are expected to survive. The suspect was also sent to the hospital and now is in police custody. Police say this was an isolated incident. However, if you have any information that can help investigators, please call Salt Lake City Police. Each Independence Day, the Park City Police Department honors fallen officer Rodney Schurz at the Main Street Memorial Park named after him. Officer Schurz was killed by a drunk driver while directing traffic on this very day 40 years ago.
I think of how we can all be better neighbors and partners with our police department. First and foremost, in light of the accident that happened to Officer Schurz, by being safe behind the wheel, slowing down, and never getting in the car impaired.
Officer Rodney Schurz left behind a wife and 2 sons. One big boy rolled into town today. We'll show you the celebration on the tracks. Stick with us. Welcome back, everyone. In 1941, 25 of the largest steam engines ever produced rolled off the line. They were dubbed the Big Boys. Now, over 80 years later, engine 4014, the last surviving big boy train, steamed into Utah. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph cataloged its journey into Evanston, Wyoming, and on to Salt Lake City this week.
In Evanston, Wyoming, everywhere you look, you see evidence of trains.
This is a railroad town. We're here because of the railroad.
From the tracks that run through town to the signs and even the city's flag.
We constantly see the freight cars going by many times during the day, and the whistle still blows. We've all had family members and relatives and friends that one way or another worked for the railroad.
And a crowd is starting to gather at the rail yard.
It has wonderful architecture, and it tells the story what happened down here.
As a lifelong Evanston resident, James Davis remembers all the trains that have come through here well. But from the merch to the blacksmith to the music choices, there's an anticipation for something big about to come through town. And as people start to line up along the tracks,
real important thing to do if you're ever on the news is not embarrass yourself.
Those like John Hoffmeister and his family are looking to the horizon.
It's awesome. I mean, it's a piece of history. They won't get a chance to see this anywhere else.
The main attraction is rolling in just around the bend.
I can't see! I can't see!
Don't worry, with the sound of a whistle
that train is moving.
And the ring of a bell.
I kind of wish it would get closer.
Big boy, engine 4014 is rolling in.
Looks like the Hogwarts Express. Oh man, that is super cool. Look at that thing.
Center on the fireman's side. Everything. I mean, look at the size of this thing. I mean, this thing is enormous. The ground shakes. You know, you can feel it reverberating in your chest with that whistle blows. I mean, it is exciting. People are cheering. It's like a festive rock concert type of atmosphere that we see.
And if this was a rock concert, Ed Dickens would be the rock star.
You're looking at the Union Pacific Big Boy, the only restored operating big boy in the world.
As the engineer, he's the man in charge.
7,000 horsepower. This locomotive weighs as much as 3 of our conventional locomotives. It's 135 feet long. The modern locomotives we have are right about 75 feet long.
As a special treat,
well, we're in the cab of the UP Big Boy 4014.
Ed invited me up into the cab. The whole engine restored as if it had just rolled off the assembly line in 1941. And alongside Ed, Jimmy Thompson, the fireman, operated.
The job of the fireman is to manage the boiler and keep it hot, keep it steamed up, ready for the engineer to run it down the track.
And run it down the tracks. They did. From Evanston to Salt Lake City.
It runs so well. It's a Swiss watch. Coming into town, it's so graceful and smooth and powerful. It really is. Probably hear the enthusiasm when you talk to us because it's exciting.
Retracing the track this train would have taken in 1941. So as the public marvels,
I just came out here just to enjoy Big Boy
and takes all the selfies, each one has a big smile on their face.
That is perhaps the greatest part of the entire experience for all of us.
Making all the hard, dirty work that goes into this behemoth worth it.
You know, we're all very proud that we can do this. This is a heritage of the Union Pacific, a heritage of our country.
And a perfect July 4th ride through town in style.
Just to see that part of history.
Spencer Joseph
is amazing.
Fox 13 News.
It captures the imagination of people.
Utah.
What a history lesson. Don't worry if you missed it today. Big Boy will be coming back through town on July 20th, where it will make a 2-day stop in Ogden.
So how many people are actually cited for shooting fireworks at the wrong time or place? We found the numbers.
After a person was removed from Wednesday night's RSL game, hear from him about how he's trying to turn his life around.
Great Salt Lake dust is bad, but a new study finds some of us are impacted worse than others.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, fireworks seem to be as big a part of 4th of July as hot dogs and stars and stripes. But what happens when someone ignites those fireworks at times or places they aren't supposed to? Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle looked into the data and found some surprising answers.
A lot of times he's kind of reluctant and sometimes startled just because it's, you know, coming out of nowhere and it's loud.
Kenneth Mayilo is a dog owner in Sandy. His Labrador Retriever mix, OPE, doesn't respond well to fireworks.
I wouldn't say he's a fan.
Utah has laws to limit the times and places where residents like Mayilo and OPE have to hear fireworks detonate. But this data from Utah state courts shows how rarely those statutes are enforced. Just 63 fireworks-related citations have been issued in 3.5 years. That's statewide, in a state where regulating fireworks is seen as a way to prevent wildfire.
That sounds way too low.
We talked with other pet owners at a dog park in Sandy.
I would think in one city that would be a daily quota.
At a certain time at night, it needs to shut down. But how do you catch them? You can't even stop people from running yellows and red lights.
Law enforcement and the fire departments are enforcing the statutes. Obviously, they cannot catch everybody.
Ted Black is the Utah State Fire Marshal.
The number itself, though, does it strike you as too low, just right, too high?
We're shooting for 0. And I realize that might sound a little pie in the sky, but
Black said it's typically up to local law enforcement or fire departments to issue the citations when someone discharges fireworks outside permitted hours or in prohibited area.
And we should celebrate this great nation and our freedoms. But please do so responsibly. Buy your fireworks locally, use them according to the instructions, and don't use them in areas that have been closed to fireworks. There's a reason that Francis Scott Key wrote The Rocket's Red Glare. We are remembering the price paid.
I love fireworks, by the way, but I think we should be more mindful and aware of the issues that are underlining with not enforcing some of these things.
You'd be okay, at least in theory, with more citations being issued?
Yes.
So here are the rules for fireworks in Utah. Today you can ignite fireworks until midnight. July 22nd through 25th, the hours are 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., except on Pioneer Day itself when the deadline's extended to midnight. But you can never detonate fireworks in an area that has been restricted by state or local governments. You can find a link to those maps on firemarshal.utah.gov. Reporting in Sandy, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Some people have a past they'd rather forget, but that can be really hard to do when the evidence of that dark past is literally a part of you. Security kicked a man out of the Real Salt Lake game last night because of his offensive tattoos. Today, he told Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi he understands why people are outraged.
At the Other Side Academy,
Jessica, you want a burger?
The 4th of July is a party.
One of our biggest events here.
And it's the place where Jonathan Pangburn is turning his life around.
It teaches you how to love. It gives you a life back. Teaches you about friendship, accountability, humility.
After crime in his past and a few stints in prison, he moved to Utah 3.5 years ago to be part of the Other Side Academy. But part of that past were identities that Jonathan isn't proud of anymore.
Because my tattoos, they affect me and they offend me more than they offend anybody else today. And I am filled with regret and shame every time I go into public.
He was at Wednesday night's Real Salt Lake match when security asked him to leave the stadium because of his SS lightning bolt tattoo on the side of his head, a symbol of Nazism and white supremacy. A photographer at the match spotted the tattoo and tweeted it out. A lot of people were outraged by the sight of that tattoo.
My intention is to not try to disperse any negativity or hatred in people. And really, I'm just trying to get out there and just be part of the community and spread my message of change. And I know I dropped the ball. I could have covered up my tattoos and wore a hat.
RSL tells us that the club and the America First Field have a zero-tolerance policy against hate speech. So once they found out that there was someone with the hate symbol tattoo sitting in the stands, he was removed within 10 minutes of that notification.
Hate has no place
in our sports stadiums.
Mark Levine is with the Anti-Defamation League. He tells me that this kind of speech, no matter how it was intended, has the power to hurt.
This is a very haunting and scary thing for people here in the United States today, that hate has a very long shadow. And we also know that hateful rhetoric often leads to hateful acts. So this can be a very scary thing for someone to see.
Jonathan is in recovery and recently graduated from the Other Side Academy. He's also in the process of removing his tattoos, not just this one, but other hate symbols as well.
I just want people to know that I don't come from a place of hate.
And hopes his story inspires others to change too.
I know that if I can break away from a life of how I used to live with Nazism, skinhead philosophy, I know that my story can help other people break away from it as well.
In Salt Lake City, I am Maitri Gubbi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If the lake levels continue to decrease, we'll be seeing more dust across the Salt Lake Valley.
Now to an update on the Great Salt Lake. There is a new study out from the University of Utah about dust from the lake and its impact on communities. As Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow learned, some people are impacted worse than others by the toxic dust from the exposed lake bed.
Are the higher dust concentrations.
Derek Malia has been researching dust coming off of the Great Salt Lake.
We're already seeing where the western side of the valley is dustier relative to the eastern part of the valley. Yeah, it's your catastrophic scenario.
He ran scenarios of what would happen if the lake dried up and if we got more water in it.
We can also get the kind of opposite effect where the western part of the valley, that air quality will more drastically improve at a much quicker rate.
The study has a sociological component to it, looking at what areas are impacted more by Great Salt Lake dust. West Side communities, particularly Hispanic and Pacific Islander, are impacted more.
This study adds another piece, which is this environmental justice component, that if we can actually preserve the lake, we can help in all those ways. But we can also reduce some of the disparities in exposure locally by reducing the dust.
The simple way to answer it is because communities of color have largely lived along the west side of the Salt Lake Valley.
The study's findings are not surprising to Olivia Juarez with the environmental group Green Latinos.
Communities on the west side closest to industrial pollution have already suffered from poor health outcomes because of the air pollution and their proximity to Great Salt Lake, which our community has essentially determined is a sacrifice zone.
Another concern is what's in the exposed lake bed. Trace amounts of arsenic and other toxic chemicals. The study says the way to fix it all, get more water into the lake.
Getting the Great Salt Lake at what we refer to as average lake levels would definitely be a substantial improvement in air quality across the region, across the Salt Lake Valley, Davis County, Weber County.
House Minority Leader Angela Romero represents some of the communities impacted by Great Salt Lake dust. She knows people dealing with asthma and other breathing problems.
I see it all the time with just my allergies, and I know many people here on the west side see it too. But it's like, what can we do about it? And
she's pushed for more air monitoring equipment in West Side communities. She also says there may be tough choices ahead when it comes to the Great Salt Lake.
What it should tell my colleagues is if we care about all Utahns, then we really need to look at the Great Salt Lake.
While the Great Salt Lake has gotten a lot of attention from Utah political leaders, air quality legislation did not do so well. Every single bill that was run directly dealing with air quality failed to pass in this year's legislative session. At the Great Salt Lake, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you plan on shooting off some fireworks over the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'll have a look at that forecast, plus tracking a big heat wave on the way. Those details coming up here in just about a minute.
I'm Andrea Urban, and two 11-year-old jazz fans from Draper had a dream customer stop by their soda stand. I'll introduce you to the Soda Kids after the break. And it isn't 4th of July without Nathan's hot dog eating contest. What went down in sports? When school's out for the summer, there's many ways for kids to spend their free time. But for two Draper 11-year-olds, they decided to make a little cash with their very own soda stand in the park. And the last thing that they expected was a surprise visit from their favorite jazz player. Utah Jazz guard Colin Sexton gave them a memory that they will never forget. Did you believe that he was actually going to come by?
I put all my faith into him.
Meet Thomas and Will, two best friends and Jazz fans who happened to run into their favorite player.
I just said, "Is that Colin Sexton?" And then my grandpa goes, "Yeah, it is." I've dreamed about this moment for a long time.
How did he react?
Pretty sure he just said, "How y'all doing?"
Happening? How y'all doing? Y'all doing good? They've been down at the park selling soda pops.
Well, they're doing a soda stand.
Oh, y'all selling soda pops?
And he's like, "What time?"
Y'all out there again?
1 p.m.
Y'all gonna be there at 1 p.m.?
You guys have soda for me?
Y'all gonna have a soda pop for me?
Yes. He wanted to go.
On the playground? All right, well, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
How's your business been doing?
Terrible. Not that good.
Oh, not good?
The only money we made was from him. Well, no, we got $13. 14.
Well, how much are you selling the sodas for? What's
a
the
$1 can?
$1 each. How many did Colin buy? Just one can?
Two.
He bought your two favorite flavors? So what are those two flavors?
Tiki Punch was mine. The Lemon Lime Twist was mine.
We'll see him tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the playground. Some soda pop.
So what was it like once he came up to you?
He's just like, "I have a gift for you." Pulls out one $50 bill. And we're like, "Oh my gosh, we got $50. And he's like, "One for you too."
Wow, what did that make you feel like?
It's indescribable. We need to get his number.
You got his number?
No, we need to.
Oh, we need to. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
let him know. We need your number, Colin.
We could make a group chat called the Soda Kids.
Okay, can I be in this group chat? Oh, the Soda Kids are the coolest. Well, it's not 4th of July without Nathan's hot dog eating contest. 16-time champ Joey Chestnut not in attendance due to signing a deal with Impossible Foods, but that gave Patrick Bertoletti room to take the cake, or should I say dog. He inhaled 58 hot dogs, his 9th appearance, but first ever title win. And for the women, Miki Sodu broke the women's world record by ingesting 51 hot dogs, earning her 10th title at Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I'm Andrea Urban, and that'll do it for sports.
Chris, happy Independence Day to you.
Happy 4th.
Thank you so much.
It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, really a nice day weather-wise. You know, I think of some 4th of Julys in the past, and man, they were sweltering.
Yeah, today it was pretty nice, especially here in Salt Lake. It was a little bit harder farther south, though. Maybe if we leave the shot up for a minute, we'll get some fireworks there in the background, and there we go, right there. Happy 4th of July. Temperatures are so nice, 75 degrees right now in Salt Lake. We hold on to those temperatures in the 70s over the next couple of hours, so if you are going to shoot off some fireworks when it gets a little bit darker, say 10 p.m., we're still in the mid-70s, gradually falling into the 60s by tomorrow morning. The winds have really lessened here in Salt Lake, so that is great news, but it's still pretty windy in St. George, so be cautious as you're lighting off those fireworks with the winds gusting upwards between 21 to say 29 miles per hour. That could blow some of the sparks downwind and start some fires. 99 degrees. So St. George is like, where are these cool temperatures you're talking about? Holding on to 90s through about midnight. Then we fall into the 80s and eventually the 70s by tomorrow morning. Many other areas, though, cool, starting off in the 50s for your Friday. We'll be around 60 here in Salt Lake, mid 40s for Park City. We get back into the 90s tomorrow afternoon here in Salt Lake. That's where we should be this time of the year. Hot, St. George, 107, 100 in Kanab, so we start to see those temperatures heating on up, and that's going to continue into the weekend as that high pressure over the west coast. It's going to center itself right over the desert southwest, and our temperatures are going up, especially in southern Utah over the weekend, and then here in northern Utah by the middle and end of the week. And it looks like as we work our way into the weekend, we're still going to hold on to those hot temperatures next weekend. So we're going to see 7 to 10 days worth of very hot temperatures, possibly nearing record temperatures on Thursday in Salt Lake, and looking beyond that, it's possible we get near the all-time record here in Salt Lake of 107. So those temperatures are just going up, 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 back into the triple digits. St. George has the opportunity to see a few temperatures near record highs as we work our way from the weekend into early next week, with those temperatures between 110 and 115, just no end in sight with the hot temperatures. And because of that, an excessive heat warning Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for lower Washington County and the Lake Powell area. I think this gets extended and expanded as we work our way a little bit closer to the duration, or that start of that heat event that's going to have that long duration for the state of Utah. And with that high pressure, you clearly see where there's no rain. That's going to be centered right over the western U.S. We need the rain. Fire danger high not only here in Utah, but across all of the west coast and really the entire Intermountain West. Moisture confined to areas east of the Rockies. Some tropical moisture going to work its way into Texas and parts of the lower Mississippi River River Valley. Not much in the way of rain here. Southern Utah, hot, 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 110 to 115 for St. George over the next several days. No rain in sight. Those low temperatures staying in the 70s and 80s. The Wasatch Front sees those temperatures get into the 90s tomorrow, and we are going to stay in the 90s all the way until the beginning of next week, and then we see temperatures get into the triple digits, low staying in the 70s. So Kelly, hot weather is on the way.
It is. It's cranking up.
Cranking
in the
up.
next 7 days.
Yep. So as Mother Nature's cranking the heat up, you got to crank the thermostat down.
Exactly,
you know?
right.
Yeah, it's a balance,
It works
right?
like that,
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
hope you had a wonderful holiday. Stick with us. Up next in QuickCast, I have an update on 2 breaking news situations. Fireworks that went rogue at Stadium of Fire in Provo, and also an armed man that resulted in a shelter-in-place order in Hurricane. Updates on those right after this. Hello again, everyone. I'm Kelly Chapman. We continue to follow 2 breaking news situations, and we do have some new information to let you know about. First, in Provo at Stadium of Fire, take a look at this video. We've learned the show at Brigham Young University's Lavelle Edwards Stadium featuring the Jonas Brothers and a huge firework display was stopped after this. Fireworks shot into the crowd, injuring what witnesses are calling several people. Fox 13 News is told it was those fireworks that ignited during the 419th Fighter Wing flyover that went rogue and shot into the crowd of people. This video is of police and paramedics canvassing the crowd for those that were injured. We do know at this point at least 1 person was taken out of the stadium on a stretcher. Now, we just minutes ago received a statement from America's Freedom Festival. They're the group in charge of Stadium of Fire. They say, quote, "Safety is of the utmost importance to us. All pyrotechnics at Stadium of Fire are thoroughly checked before the show and were rechecked after tonight's incident. Our thoughts are with those who were impacted, and we are following up with them to make sure they are okay." Fox 13 News, of course, will continue to follow this and have the very latest online at fox13now.com. Now on to an update on that shelter in place in Washington County. Police say they have resolved the situation. They have lifted the request regarding fireworks. In case you're just tuning in, it was around 4:15 this afternoon. Residents living near 290 North and 3560 West in Hurricane were told to shelter in place because of reports of an armed man in the street in front of his home. The man was located by police and found to be armed with a rifle and a handgun. He then barricaded himself inside his home. Then at 9:34 tonight, a short time ago, police say they took the man into custody without injury to himself or to the officers. The area, however, is still closed to traffic for the investigation. Chris.
Kelly, happy 4th of July. You can see some of the fireworks there in the background. Temperatures are nice, 75 degrees. So if you are celebrating tonight, I don't think you need the jacket. You definitely don't need it in St. George, where it is 96 degrees at this hour. Hot temperatures tomorrow morning, though, falling into the 50s for most of Utah. We will be, though, 60 here in Salt Lake, 70s in St. George, 40s in Park City. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon back into the 90s for Salt Lake, 107 St. George, 100 in Kanab, and the temperatures are only going up from here. Lower Washington County going to see high temperatures over the next several days between 110 to 115. Overnight lows staying in the 70s and lower 80s. Here for the Wasatch Front, we're going to see those high temperatures in the 90s for the foreseeable future, and then we get into the triple digits next week, nearing record highs by Thursday and Friday. Kelly?
Chris, thank you so much, and thank you for being with us on this 4th of July. Have a wonderful remainder of your holiday. We want to leave you with the celebration happening right now in downtown Salt Lake City at the Gateway as the sky is lighting up with fireworks. Happy Independence Day, everyone. Good night.